Obviously, the first half of the season, pretty brutal. Back in November, Everton obviously bottom of the table without a win. But then you beat this weekend's opponents, Liverpool, 1-0, and form really picked up after that. And now you're sat in 8th. What's sort of changed Everton's fortunes in the past sort of recent weeks?
Yeah, I think obviously we had a slower start to the season than we would have liked, but I think something that we're really good at here is we have a lot of principles and a style of play that we want to play. So I think obviously sometimes that takes time to come together, but if you keep working towards that and obviously you're doing the right things day in and day out, I think we all really believe that the results would eventually follow. So obviously that has fortunately happened a little bit more for us, which is really exciting.
Obviously, last season you had difficulties with injuries and, I'm sure you were like, okay, new season, new us, refocus, and then 3 big ACL injuries within the squad, obviously, especially early on, Aurora Galley, Emma Gabaro right at the start of the season, and then Megan Finnegan in January. How tough has it been to manage that? But also, do you find those situations really galvanise the team?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult. Obviously, it's a big issue in the women's game, and we were really unfortunate to have a few injuries here. And I think, really big, not only big players for us, but big personalities as well on and off the pitch. So I think that's hard in the group. But yeah, like you said, I think those girls mean a lot to us, so we obviously want to be working day in and day out for them because we know they'd give anything to obviously be out on the pitch. And so I think it does help you to kind of have that camaraderie as a team. And as you said, we had a lot of injuries last year, so I think it's something that we got used to, being adaptable and being flexible and being able to fill in all the roles that were asked of us. So I think, we were able to use that to our advantage this year.
Actually, that was something I wanted to ask you because we often talk about versatility. It's sometimes a bit of a dirty word in football. And actually, I think players being versatile is becoming more and more appreciated within the game. You've seen that a lot with Everton, particularly last season. I think maybe you were the only one who didn't play in an unnatural position. But I feel like had the season gone on a few more games, maybe we would have seen you outfield. Do you think that's actually helped the team even better understand the style of football you want to play because you're seeing it from different positions, so you almost better understand it from a whole squad's perspective?
Yeah, I think a lot of times when we're doing analysis and things like that, the expectation is that everyone understands what everyone's role is. So if you're playing as a center back, you need to know how the winger is pressing or where the winger is in possession. So obviously it's difficult and it takes a lot of work, but I think that does really help you, as you said. And then I think people can fill in to different positions that maybe aren't as natural for them to play, but because they have that understanding about what the expectations are of everyone in every position, it makes it a little bit easier.
I think speaking there of sort of the transition, the flexibility the whole squad has got, I think obviously it has been a bit of a transitional season, I suppose, for Everton. Looking back sort of about some of the uncertainty with the takeover and the sort of impacts that has on the squad. I know when I was with Spurs, sort of the change of manager, going from the Championship to the WSL, it sort of can cause a little bit of unsettlement sometimes, but it feels like you've sort of found that consistency and found your feet. And we obviously saw Megan Finnegan say on Sky, the club situation right now obviously isn't ideal and it's impacting the women's side in some ways. Once the new ownership comes through, hopefully we can start seeing changes for the better because this league is ever growing and Everton cannot be left behind. And Everton is such a key part of the WSL, such stalwarts in the WSL, which we love to see. But yeah, how's it kind of been sort of riding through a sort of period of a little bit of change, I suppose, with the management and the ownership?
Yeah, I think obviously definitely there's no denying it was difficult in some aspects, I think, especially for us in terms of that uncertainty. But I think as players, we spoke a lot about how important it is to obviously be doing what we're doing and focusing on what we can control on the pitch and let those things and those changes happen. And then we'll go from there. So I think a massive credit to all the girls in the squad because I think we were able to focus on our performances and to keep doing what we're doing. And obviously now it's really nice to see the positive changes that are being made. And yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Everton Football Club. I absolutely love it here. So it's great to see the positive direction that the club is moving in. I think Meg said it exactly right. We're a big piece of the WSL, and I think it's nice to see that we're moving in the right direction.
Now that the Friedkin Group have their feet under the table, obviously, that January transfer window allowed the squad to bring in some new players. And even still, I think I'm still surprised at how quickly those players have settled in and how much you've kind of see the change within the squad in such a short space of time, because you'd be forgiven for saying, look, it's going to take a couple of months for these players to settle, but they seem to have hit the ground running, and it's almost, you can almost see physically a weight being lifted off the squad. Do you feel that a little bit yourselves?
Yeah, I think a big credit to obviously all the girls, the new girls from this season and the ones that came in January. Like you said, it's a very difficult league that we play in, and I think sometimes it does take people time to adjust, and I think it's a massive credit to the girls that have been able to have a big impact straight from the beginning. And I think it's also a credit to the players that were already here, that's kind of the onus is on us to be able to teach them the style that we want to play and how things work. So I think, yeah, we had a smooth transition in January, and obviously the results reflected that. It was just nice.
And as sort of one of the members of, I suppose, the more senior members of the team.
Careful, Clo.
I know. Well, I'm 35. I can kind of say that. I mean, keepers, we have a little bit of grace in terms of age and maturity. How has it kind of been sort of having some of the youngsters come in, and what's the sort of dynamic like in kind of integrating them? And do you have sort of team socials and things like that to kind of make sure that everyone's sort of keeping together through the season?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of my favorite parts about Everton Football Club is, that family feel. And I think ever since I've been here, it's a fantastic group of girls. And every year, the people that we bring in obviously are not only great players, but more importantly, they're great people. So I think that makes the environment amazing to be a part of. And yeah, it's fun. We can have a joke and a laugh on the pitch and off the pitch. So definitely a few socials going on, which is nice.
I can kind of imagine that you're the sort of mother figure of the group in a way. You've got a sort of calm energy about you. Is that fair, or is that not right at all?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends what mood you catch me in, I think.
Depends after what game.
Yeah, exactly.
And just going back there to sort of what Rachel was saying about some of the impact of the new investment. Obviously the first time, sort of only time that Everton have finished in the top five was the 2020-2021 season. Obviously a lot more investment in the club this year and a lot more back-in, plus the move to the new stadium, the Bramley Moor Dock. What do you think the club is capable of, given the new investment and the change of stadium and sort of the ambition that you guys seem to show?
Yeah, I think obviously there's a lot of ambition here. I think the club as a whole, and I think especially for us, for the women's team, that we have big ambitions about, finishing as high up the table as possible. And I think, as you said, it's really nice to see that backing and see the positive change that's being made. So it's really down to us to get those results on the pitch and obviously show what we're capable of. And I think it's really nice to be a part of something that we're building and working towards a goal. And I think you can kind of see that, as I've said, in the style that we play, and obviously to have new and exciting players as well to add on to that, I think is a massive benefit for us. Yeah,
Brian Sørenson's been building something with this group for a couple of seasons now, but I feel like has never maybe had the full squad available to kind of show everything that you guys can do. What's he like to work under? And I guess what's something about that coaching style that people maybe don't see from the outside? Because I remember recently Renee Sleggers before your game saying Everton were one of the most unpredictable teams to play against, which I think is a real thing to put against. Like, that's a really proud thing you should be proud of, that you cause teams problems. You're able to be adaptable in different situations and set up differently and make teams second guess themselves. So tell us a little bit more about what it's like in working under him.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously it's been great for me personally and for the team working under Brian. And I think, just like you said, that the fact that we're adaptable and everything like that, I think it just shows, I think he's a manager that has a massive footballing brain or footballing IQ. And I think it's amazing to kind of, obviously for us to be able to learn what he wants from us. But I think that it's nice to see us building and progressing under Brian. And it's been exciting.
And this is the really fun part of the interview for me. I want to talk about everything goalkeeping. Obviously, it's safe to say on a personal level, you've cemented your position as Everton's number one. What would you say are the top qualities that it takes to be a goalkeeper at this level? And I think even over the past sort of 3 or 4 years, and definitely since my retirement 3.5 years ago, I've seen the standard of goalkeeping just excel and get better and better every single year, and the demands on goalkeepers get more and more. So what would you say are sort of the top qualities that it takes to kind of stay at the top and stay with that number one shirt?
Yeah, I think that is why I'm really passionate about goalkeeping. I think it's exciting. I love it. And I think it is that fact that the position's always changing. And I think it's always in like the small details that can make the biggest difference. I think that's what makes the position so exciting, because I come in here every day and I'm still learning new things all the time and trying to get better and improve and things like that. So yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd, I guess, when it comes to goalkeeping, but I think you can just see the standard of goalkeepers in this league has constantly improved and gotten better. And you can see the impact that having a top level goalkeeper has on clubs getting results and obviously being a top club. So I think that's really exciting to be a part of.
And some of the sort of training sessions that you do at Everton, do you have a favourite type of training session? Like, is it sort of the set piece sessions, the distribution sessions, just the out and out shot stopping when you're just getting shots fired at you left, right and centre for sort of 50 minutes or so? What's your favourite kind of goalkeeping sesh?
I think I like the out and out shots, or like some type of small sided game that's like really tight and compact. So it's just constant action. And yeah, I love like crosses and stuff. So anything that kind of incorporates some type of crosses in the session I love that.
Well, you're clearly working incredibly hard. Kept 4 clean sheets so far this season, and Everton obviously have one of the best defensive records outside the top 4 teams. So whatever you're doing behind the scenes in these sessions is clearly working. But I know obviously like my time as a goalkeeper, it was always sort of, it was really lovely that you had the competition of other goalkeepers who were sort of nipping on your heels for the position, but it also sort of creates that, I suppose, the competitiveness, but also the anxiety, I suppose, that some of these young up and coming keepers are going to sort of take that spot in positions. But how do you kind of handle those dynamics? And I suppose given your experience, you're very much used to that situation.
Yeah, I think obviously, as I said, like goalkeeper is such a unique position. So I think that's what's so amazing. It's like the people that you're competing with day in and day out are also the only ones that know what it's like to be in your shoes or be the one that steps onto the pitch. So I think that does create like a really close bond within that goalkeeper union, which is obviously really special to be a part of. And I just think for me, I see it as I'm like really grateful for the goalkeepers that I'm able to work with, because they're unbelievable as well. And they're pushing me to be the best version of myself. And I think I hopefully am also helping them to improve and be the best version of them. So I think it's just like a really exciting dynamic where it's a really challenging environment, but it's really fun and like supportive as well, I would say.
And I think, one of the things that I did a bit of sort of goalkeeper coaching back in the day. And a lot of the questions that we used to get from the girls were very much around, well, how do you bounce back from those tough moments when you, lose the shirt for a period of time, or where you have one of those games where things don't go your way, or you make one of those obvious errors that you would never otherwise do, and you just sort of want the ground to swallow you up. Is there anything that sort of, I suppose, tips-wise, especially for any budding goalkeepers listening to the episode, for sort of how to bounce back from those mistakes or tougher periods?
Yeah, I think obviously it's something that you learn and like develop as you become a goalkeeper. The longer you've been doing it, the easier it gets. And I think it's something as you mature and grow, you always have that inner belief and that self-confidence. So obviously football is a game of mistakes. It's just unfortunate that if a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it usually leads to a goal or something like that. So I think it's just working on, you're seeing the foundations that you built and all the hours you've put into training. You have that confidence and self-belief that if something happens, that's not going to change. It's just one small blip my goalkeeper coach here says, like, it's a drop in the bucket of who you are as a person and as a goalkeeper. So I think that's something that you're able to switch on quite quickly. And then the next minute you're making a game-winning save or saving a penalty or something. So it's exciting.
Before I move on to my next question, I want to ask both of you as goalkeepers, and obviously I was never a football goalkeeper. I was a hockey goalkeeper, but normally goalkeeper of the season is the goalkeeper who keeps the most clean sheets, right? Do you think we need like another, whether it's a runner-up award or like another award for like most saves made or whatever that might be? Because sometimes I feel like maybe goalkeepers like yourself, Courtney, who's made a huge number of stops, you end up not getting the credit if it doesn't translate into clean sheets. So we need like another, like 2 goalkeeper awards. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I feel like it would make it more exciting, but I feel like it sounds really boring because obviously I'm a goalkeeper, so I love making saves. But I feel like I've also been taught the best goalkeepers are the ones that are organizing so well that they don't have to do anything. So maybe it should be something like the goalkeeper that does the least amount in games can win an award.
I mean, I definitely advocate. I mean, obviously Barclays do the goal of the month. I don't understand why there's not a save of the month, because we're never going to win that award. Like, we're not eligible. So, unless something crazy happens and we go up last minute. But
I'm in that room when the votes are made, and I've been banging the drum for a goalkeeper award every season. And I think I'm going to get, if I'm going to really try, at least a goalkeeper or save of the year. So I've been told I have to go and find the footage of that. But I've been in the room banging the drum, so I've got your back, guys.
I will bang the drum with you,
save of the month would be good. I'm in for that for sure.
Absolutely.
And we will vote for you next time. Yeah. Obviously, Courtney.
Whatever happens, even if you're not in it.
Perfect.
It's obviously the Merseyside Derby this weekend, Courtney. As we mentioned earlier, you beat Liverpool 1-0 in the league earlier this season in what was your final match at Goodison Park. How do you plan on doing it again on Sunday? Obviously, this time at Anfield.
Yeah, I think as a squad, like, everyone here knows how important the derby is and how much it means to both clubs. But I think that's something that makes it extremely exciting and obviously kind of brings that added energy and maybe a little bit of pressure as well. But I think being at this top level, it's the games with that amount of pressure that are the most fun to play in. And I think those are when people, really step up to the plate. So I think we'll come up with a good game plan and obviously go out there to take all 3 points.
Does it feel like the Merseyside Derby is one of those games that there's a heightened expectation and kind of a heightened anxiety around, or do you kind of treat it as any other game?
Yeah, I feel like just because of the history, like, how important it is, but I feel like it's also really important to kind of just play games at, like you said, as what they are, just a game of football. Obviously, you go out there relaxed and know that you've prepared as best that you can individually and as a team to get a result. Yeah,
and I guess both teams have actually changed quite a bit since the last game, so it kind of adds a little bit more spice to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, you have some international teammates on the other side playing for Liverpool, Leanne Kieran and Niamh Fahey, for example. Are you close with them? What is it like coming up against national team players? Is it weird? Do you kind of block it out until post-match and then it's all, let's swap shirts and whatever else, like pals again?
Yeah. I am very, very close with the both of them. Obviously, Leanne's one of my best friends. We played together and lived together when we were both at West Ham, and obviously both moved up north, me to Everton and her to Liverpool. So yeah, she's a very, very close friend, but I think, it makes it fun and you want to be the one that gets the bragging rights. So I think maybe no texting right up until the game, and then we'll see. We'll resume normal afterwards.
Is it awkward when you're doing, when you like shake hands before a game and like you come up against them? Is there anything there, or is it all very professional? Is it like slagging each other off a bit, or any banter?
Yeah, I feel like it depends. Like someone like Leanne, I feel like she's always bringing the banter, but I think it's also like that time right before the game's kind of when I'm trying to get in my zone and you're kind of tuning everything out. So maybe less banter from me, but I say Leanne will do something.
Because at least with a player like Niamh, at least she's like far away from you down the pitch, right? You don't have to worry about her. But as a goalkeeper, you've got Leanne Kieran buzzing around. It must be, maybe it helps. Maybe you know her a little bit better and what she might do.
Yeah, I think obviously, I know the quality that they both have. Obviously, I'm lucky enough to be able to play with them internationally. So I think, it brings that kind of added layer, which is a little bit fun to see different players in their club environments as well. But I think it's just exciting.
I can't believe I have to ask this question because I'm still not over it, but you obviously had the major disappointment of missing out on Euro qualification at the end of last year, and we spoke to your teammate Aoife Mannion about it a little while ago. But how difficult is it to put disappointment like that behind you with the national team when you return to club? Because I do feel like that was maybe one of the issues for the Ireland squad, was that it was at the end of the year, you had this game, and then you all had to leave camp and not see each other again for a little while and kind of almost deal with that disappointment almost separately from the squad.
Yeah, I think it's obviously extremely difficult, and yeah, it's very frustrating, obviously, individually and as a squad. The goal was to qualify for the Euros, so it's a really big disappointment that we weren't able to do that, obviously, for ourselves, for the team, for the country and everything. But I think the good and bad thing about football is that it moves really quickly. And I think that it's kind of like you have to move on to the next one. And I think we still have massive goals as a national team of what we want to achieve. And obviously it's turning the full focus onto that. And you can take that disappointment and that heartbreak, but I think it kind of fuels you to achieve more. And I think obviously the last Euros when we didn't qualify, we used that full focus to make sure that we were qualifying for the World Cup in Australia. So I think, yeah, it's a massive disappointment, but you can use it as fuel to the fire to go on to achieve bigger things.
Does it help having the likes of Heather Payne and Leanne up the road and Niamh? Like, does it help a little bit to, maybe have a coffee and be able to kind of talk about that disappointment without fully like closing the door on it and not thinking about it?
Yeah, I think obviously football can be, really isolating when you have these disappointments. Obviously, if you're on your own and stuff, it can be quite hard. So it's really nice to have teammates, like you said, Heather here at Everton and Fahi and Leanne so close that you know that they're there and they're going through the same thing. So I think that's the best part about football is obviously the friendships and the relationships that you make. So I think I've been really lucky to have some pretty amazing people with me on the journey.
Now, I know football moves quickly, but do you ever think back to one of the moments that I remember a lot from the World Cup was the first match, obviously, and on RTE there was a clip of you in the tunnel and you heard the Irish fans singing. And is that a moment you think back on? Because it was almost like, I'm sure you'd all been in such a bubble and such a focus, and that kind of maybe brought it all home to you, what you were about to step onto.
Yeah, I think it is funny because, like you said, it's like those moments happen and then it's after the game. So many people were sending me this clip and I was seeing it on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, it does kind of hit you. And I think that it's really important to kind of take in those special moments. And obviously, as professional footballers, you're always wanting to achieve more, but it's really important to obviously look back at what you've been able to do. And I feel really lucky and grateful that we were at the World Cup, and to have that video and something to look back at is really special.
How is life under Carla Ward now? Obviously doing well in the Nations League, maybe a bit of a rocky start, which I think is fully understandable, but now suddenly Ireland has all this expectation on them. What's it been like playing under her? And I guess as well, moving on from some of the big names that have retired from the squad.
Yeah, it's been really great under Carla so far. I think, like you said, it's always a little difficult in the beginning when it's new management, new everything. Things take time to obviously come together, but it's a great group of girls that we have there at the national team. We're really lucky, and obviously the staff with Carla and everyone that we've brought in. Yeah, it's really exciting, and I think we're looking forward to the future and obviously finishing the Nations League on a high and being where we want to be in League A. And I think it's something we talked about a lot last camp, that we've obviously had some big names retire, and it's hard because these people are irreplaceable, but you have to work as hard as you can to be able to replace them, not only on the pitch, but someone like Fahi, the personality and what she brings off the pitch as a leader and the jokes and everything like that is just as important. So I think that's something that we as players in the current squad have been trying to step up and obviously fill those shoes because, yeah, as I said, football moves fast and things continue to move forward. So we have to, keep moving.
Well, talking of keep moving, back to the WSL, just turn our attentions a little bit back to your time with Everton. Obviously, last summer, you just signed a new 2-year contract with the club, extending your stay till next summer. What are your ambitions for the next season or so? Like, what do you want to achieve in your career?
Yeah, I think, as I said, I've really enjoyed my time at Everton so far. And I think I've been really lucky to obviously have great teammates and coaches. And I think my goalkeeper coach at Everton, Ian McCalden, he's been a massive mentor. I think he's really, really helped me grow as a goalkeeper on the pitch and as a person off the pitch. So I think I'm really lucky to have been able to work with him. And I'm looking forward to continuing that relationship, because I know that I personally have more to give. And I think I have heights that I want to continue to reach and push to be better. And I think that the same can be said for us as a team, that we want to be finishing, obviously challenging towards the top of the WSL. And I think we have the quality and the talent to do that. So I think next season, that's something we're definitely going to be looking to do.
And talking of the quality in the town, I mean, obviously there's quite a lot of aspiring young toffees coming up through the ranks, sort of nipping at everybody's heels. I mean, what would your advice be to young girls who are kind of aspiring to play at this level and aspiring to play at Everton?
Yeah, I think when I think about it, some advice I would give, I guess, to young footballers is, the most importantly, I think, is to enjoy it. Like, still play football because I absolutely love it. I'm very passionate about it. And I think continuing to have that spark and that joy is so important. I think it makes all the difference. It makes your performances better. It makes you enjoy it more. So I think that's really important. And I would also say that maybe specifically as a goalkeeper, or just in general, something that as you mature and grow a little bit older, maybe I shouldn't out myself and say that I'm old, but it's really important to know that, mistakes happen, and like the journey is not always constantly moving up and up. Like, there is valleys and peaks. So I think that it's really important to kind of take those failures and those setbacks, because that is kind of what makes you into who you are. And that's all part of, the journey of being you and being the best footballer that you can be.